everybody. Today we are talking about The Phone Booth at the Edge of the World by Laura Imai Messina. The Phone Booth at the Edge of the World is a translated novel. The author is Italian and lives in Japan, and she wrote this novel in 2021, and I just have to give it a lot of praise. I just want you to know that I really like this book right off the bat. Look how beautiful it is. I thought I would love it. Just the name was intriguing. The picture, the illustration of the phone booth, the way you have the cherry blossoms. I just thought, wow, this looks like really pretty. And I wonder if it's like a romance novel, which I don't read too much of, but I was like, maybe this has that in it. And so without reading anything else about it, I just bought it. And I was kind of right, but not in that, not really. Book is about it's based on something that actually happened in 2011 in March. It was a really major tsunami that came in a part of Japan that killed a lot of people, and a lot of people were never even found. So there was a lot of missing people as well that they've never recovered the bodies from. And it was just a really, really terrible, devastating event. It impacted so many people, and she wanted to write something that was, I would say, a book of hope, a book where people can really have a better understanding of what happened around that time and how people coped with it. And the way that the people in this book coped with it was using this phone booth as a symbol of being able to find hope in the world after losing somebody from this disaster. And so how that happened, for our main character, she lost her mother and her daughter. They were together at the time, and so she was in it far enough away to where she was okay and protected and was able to have shelter where she was. And unfortunately, her family members were not in that position. And so she lived for a while, she was in this big building with a lot of other people just on the floor in this shelter, waiting to hear word every day of people that they might be missing, to see if they can go find them and go be with them again, or if they'd passed on, if their bodies were found, stuff like that. So she stayed there for, I think, a month with other people that were waiting to hear news. That's got to be one of the hardest things, is to just not know and to just be waiting to hear bad news, basically. Which I'm sure sometimes there was good news, but most of the time it was going to be bad news that you were going to be receiving, and you were just waiting for it to come. And I just know that I've not experienced that before, and so I can't fully understand it, but this book really did help me see things more than I had before, of trying to understand how this could affect people, and how they affect, how it affects people in different ways. Grief is never the same for people. You never really know how it's going to affect you until something happens, and then you react in a certain way. And we have two main characters, but there's the main one I'm talking about is Yui. She kind of just doesn't really know how she's gonna return to normal, really. She has a radio show. It's a pretty cool radio show because she plays music, but then she also has callers calling in so that they can have conversations and stuff like that, and then she'll play music. And on her radio show, one of the times that she has it is a conversation about people that want to share something about someone that they lost during this tsunami, earthquake, disaster. And one of the people on the call mentions that he goes to this phone booth that is kept in this garden, and it is kind of up on like a corner, and it feels like it's on the edge of the world, and it is not connected to any power or anything. So like you pick up the phone and all you kind of hear is like the wind going through it, and it doesn't actually call anyone. But he went there as a way to talk to the ones that he lost. So he'd pick up the receiver and you just talk to the people and that you miss, and say whatever you feel like you need to say to them, and it kind of brings like a closure to people. And when Yui found out about this, she really wanted to go look at it in person, and so she did. It was a several hour drive from where she was, but it was worth it to her. So she drove all this way. She finally arrives, and she does not use the phone. She does not even step inside the phone booth. She just doesn't know if she's ready for that. And so she's there, and she decides to come back monthly, every month. And there is the caretaker of the garden there's this like building, of course, that they, when you go, you like kind of check in, and he offers tea if you want to have some tea, if you want to sit and talk a little bit before you go out to see the phone booth. And so he becomes a friend to her. And there is, throughout the story, she starts getting closer to this man who is coming as well. And eventually they start driving together to save, money and gas and all that and stuff, and they're going to the same place, so why not? So they've become friends enough to where they go with each other. And he actually lost his wife, and so he goes and he talks to his wife uses the phone booth every time, and she still is at that point where she still hasn't used it, and it's to the point where you might think she might never use it. But they end up getting very close together, Takeshi and Yui, and he has a daughter, Hana, and Yui starts getting close to her, but she's also afraid to get close to her because she doesn't want to feel like she's replacing her daughter with Takeshi's daughter, which is understandable because they're about the same, similar in age. And she kind of worried that she didn't want that to happen. So she was a little worried to get too close, but at the same time, she was really starting to care for this man and for this child. And so we get to see their relationship, how it develops and how it grows, and how she herself grows into being able to understand her grief. I just think it was really beautifully written, and I've probably said enough about the book itself. So I want to touch a little bit on how it is, how it was like constructed, how this book was set, because I really like the way that these chapters were broken up. So we have like chapters where it's like just, chapter 1, and then it goes into the chapter. Or like you can see they have this like little illustration, and like every chapter has like an illustration. It's usually the bench, because there's a bench right next to the phone booth at Belgardea, the garden. And it sometimes is a picture of a phone booth, not the phone booth, the phone, like just a pickup phone, old style phone, like dial, like circular, you know what I mean? And then sometimes there's pictures of birds. And so I really liked that there was like illustrations for each little section. And then the other thing I liked was that every other chapter was like a additional information from the chapter prior. So like during this part where she is doing a radio show and she's talking to some people calling in, the next chapter after that chapter ends is just a list, and it's songs that Yui played during her radio show this day. And it's just like a list of the songs. And, so it would be a lot of times that chapter in between the chapters will be like 1 or 2 pages, and that's it. And it's usually in like list form or like things that Yui said to her mom during this thing that was mentioned in the prior chapter. And so it's just like little extra insights that maybe you wanted to know about, or maybe you didn't know that you wanted to know. For example, the songs that were listed, I immediately took up my phone and looked up the songs and had them play in the background while I was reading, because it got me more into the book, into the scene, and got me like knowing what that radio show day, what that day, what it sounded like, and what the vibe was for those days and for those songs. And they're mostly instrumental songs, and so that was like really easy to listen to while you were reading. And it was just really great to have that little extra thing in there, that if you want to connect more to the book, then there you go. Here's some songs. Listen to these songs. Same thing that sometimes they would reference a book, and then the next chapter would say the book that she was reading, and it will list the title of the book, so then you can look up what the book looked like that was being referenced. And so you have like actual real life things that you can reference to this to be more connected to the story. And so I really liked that part of it a lot. Every time I was excited to see what extra thing we were going to learn in that little mini chapter in between the chapters. It was just really well done. So there's this note at the very back from the author saying to please be respectful of this. Do not try to find this phone booth. Do not try to go there. It's not meant to be a tourist site. It's for people that really need it. And even after it being over 10 years ago that this happened, there are still people that lean on it and that see it as an important thing in their life. And so we don't want to ruin that for other people by going there and turning it into a tourist spot where we can go take pictures. And we want to be respectful and realize that that's not for us. Like it's not for me. Like I can find my own phone booth. If I need something, I can find it in something else. I don't need to go and take that from someone else who it's actually, meant to be for those people that went through those things, that live over there. So I think it was good that she had that note in there, just in case some people were like, this is so fascinating, I want to go see it. Like, her saying that just shows that she is also very respectful of this. This is another one of those books that got me at the very end, the last page. I was like, So yeah, I just, it's a 5-star. I don't even rate things with stars, but there you go. This one's a 5-star. So if you would like to read this book, it was just lovely. I just loved it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you check it out. If you've already checked it out, please let me know if you liked it as much as I did. And if you felt, if you connected to it in any kind of way. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.